Right, welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. We've got some breaking news, I guess you could say. This dropped over on the 20th of December. Obviously, things have wound down for Christmas, so I actually haven't had a chance to get to this yet, and I do apologise. But hey, I hope you all had a fantastic Christmas. And what we're looking at today is that FX are developing a limited series based on Stephen King's Carrie, the novel. Now, a lot of people will remember Carrie, very famous film as well as novel. It rose to popularity because of the film to a large degree, because it was quite shock and awe. I think most people will remember the blood scene for sure. Now, the reason why this is mainly in the press, and is probably the reason why you think I'm doing a video on it, but it's actually not, is because in Collider's report, according to their sources, is that they are specifically looking for, okay, FX are specifically looking for a trans actor, or a person of colour to play the role of Carrie. Now, the reason why I wanted to do a video on this is because I think a lot of people will probably jump the gun on this. I feel, ultimately, let's lay my cards down on the table, ultimately, any actor who is trained should be able to do this, right? I don't think there's anything, that's not rocket science, is it, by any stretch of the imagination. However, there are some key themes to Carrie which I can see why they're going with a trans actor or a person of colour. I do, however, still think that it is pandering, but I'll explain why. So, the themes of Carrie are ultimately all to do with wanting to be loved. Now, any actor worth their salt should be able to portray that. I don't think anyone will argue with that statement. An actor is an actor, right? You come in, you portray a role, a particular character, and then you bugger off home. Now, you don't need someone to have actually faced those issues in their everyday life to do that. That's not acting. That is reliving your lived experiences. So, on face value, I can see why they're doing it. I really don't agree with it, though, but I can see why. And I think it's important to kind of distinguish between the two. So I'll read you the report, and then we'll discuss it a little bit more as to why I think that this is ultimately pandering, because, again, anyone with half a brain cell will be able to distinguish and discern the difference between acting and reliving your experiences, because that's kind of what we're talking about here. So, following a successful partnership on Fargo, FX and MGM Television are developing a limited series based on Stephen King's classic horror novel, Carrie, Collider has exclusively learned. Now, I will say this, MGM are actually rising back up quite hard and strong with these things now. You know, again, Fargo, for instance, they've recently started to release more movies, which we hadn't really heard about MGM for a really long time. They hadn't really been doing too much. It wasn't a big tentpole studio. It's still not, obviously, but it's interesting that they are moving forwards now and doing more and more things. I mean, we had the Child's Play remake this year. Crazy. They're really doing more, and they were supposed to be working on RoboCop with Neil Blomkamp, although that's fallen by the wayside. So just a quick side note there, I do think it's interesting that they're doing a lot more now. Though it's still very early in the development process and there's no script yet, sources say that this time around, telekinetic teen Carrie White will likely be played by either a trans performer or an actress of colour, rather than a cis white woman, as in past adaptations. FX declined to comment, while a representative for MGM TV did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Now, Carrie has been adapted several times, though never better than Brian De Palma's original 1976 version starring Sissy Spacek. Piper Laurie, Amy Irving, and a very young John Travolta. That film spawned a 1999 sequel, Irving's Sue Snell Returns, titled The Rage Carrie 2, which has been largely forgotten. Most recently, Kimberly Peirce directed a 2013 adaptation starring Chloe Grace Moretz and Julianne Moore. That fell somewhere in between on the spectrum. That one kind of just went nowhere, really. That's just one reason of many why this project's potential casting twist is so interesting, because it would bring something new to the Carrie table. Now we'll continue reading, because again, I'm sure you're getting your own opinions as we go through this. Keep in mind that FX has one of the best track records in all of entertainment, so if they see the appeal of tackling this story again through a modern, more inclusive, still terrifying lens, then I trust them completely. I have no idea who wrote the script or who is producing this version of Carrie, but if John Langdraff says yes, he typically has a very good reason. So, look, with respect to this, okay, we need to move away from Stephen King adaptations anyway. They are getting very old, very stale, very quickly. Okay, we've seen far too many of them recently. And as much as it's great to say, based on the Stephen King novel, you know, it's great, awesome, who cares? I think most people are kinged out right now. I would, you know, I think I speak for, you know, a semi-majority on that. Now let's talk about all of this stuff. Let's talk about the track record. Okay, FX does have a good track record. They really, really do. They are very good at it. And will this potentially be good? Yeah, of course. But do you need a trans actor or a person of colour to be in that role for it to be good? No, you do not. And I can see that there's two ways of thinking about this, right? They have either gone, the book's main themes are unloved, you know, the titular character looking to be loved. That's potentially one way they approached it. And the reason they then chose those you know, groups of people to portray the character would be because maybe, you know, that's what people resonate with in those particular groups, wanting to be loved, right? Lived experiences and all of that stuff. But the other side of it is that they could just be pandering. And I think that's probably what they're doing. If you specifically target one group for casting while simultaneously you know, negating any other actors, you are blinkering yourself. Hugely tunnel vision with respect to casting for, you know, a role which any actor can do. Any actor. Anyone. Doesn't matter what's flopping between your legs or what's not flopping between your legs. Or what you were born with or what you were not born with. Any actor should be able to, if they're worth their salt, should be able to portray the role of Carrie. Now, this seems to go in line with the Hollywood trend at present, which is let's hire people just because. Let's try and get some more bums on seats. Let's go. I don't see any benefit to this. I don't see any benefit to it, but I can see why they've done it. So again, like, remember, before you all, you know, think that I'm just raging against the, you know, the whatever inclusive crowd or all that kind of nonsense. I can definitely see why they're doing it. But it's a double-edged sword, because you better believe that they're doing it for money as well. Because they are. Ultimately, they absolutely are doing this for money. And a bit of pandering. But it'll be interesting to see whether, because of course we know that they're targeting trans actors and people of colour for this role. It'll be interesting to see whether that is in the story, because if it is, then that adds another dimension to why they've gone down this casting route. But anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think? What do you think to Carrie? Is it stale now? Is it done? Would you be interested in this? Because I definitely feel like people are... They're starting to come to the end of the Stephen King craze, I think anyway. And I hope we're now starting to see a shift over to the Lovecraft craze. I mean, there's a few movies in the works now, a few films in the works based on Lovecraft and his works and things like that. So hopefully, if we're going to see any adaptations, we'll see adaptations of things which haven't actually been adapted. That would be good, wouldn't it? We talk about originality, but people still seem to lap this stuff up non-stop. Adaptations of adaptations of remakes of adaptations. So, anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts, though, so please do let me know down below in the comment section. If you are new here, please do hit subscribe. You can stay up to date on the world of pop culture and movie news by hitting the bell notification icon. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a missed age. Take care.